Hello everybody, my name is Daniel, and I gave John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, a B-. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, the most cumbersome title, starts right where Chapter 2 leaves off. After John Wick has killed a member of the High Table, his life is now forfeit. He has an hour until he is excommunicated from the Hitman Society, and the 14 million bounty on his head opens. So he's running through New York, trying to escape, fight off a bunch of hitmen, and basically find some peace in his damn life. I didn't like Chapter 2 at all. I thought it was a bloated bore. But I love John Wick. I think the first movie is just this giant breath of action, fresh air. It is about as perfect as an action movie you can get. So I come with this series to a complicated relationship. I think this blends the best of both worlds. The simple stakes of the first film and the scope that director Chad Stahelski and crew have been leaning towards for a while. This crusade through New York to try and survive. John Wick fights everybody with all manners of weapons. You've got horses and knives and books and fists and cars and so many stunts and crazy cinematography, and it's just overwhelming in the greatest way. You see John Wick at this point has just become a superhero, and he takes so much punishment. What's great about John Wick is that it is suspending the disbelief off of a cliff by like a razor-thin wire, but stuff like John Wick continuing to reload his magazines, being caught off guard, getting hit in the face so many times, but still being able to get back up. It's exciting and thrilling in a way that the action genre, inspired by these sort of indestructible superheroes, hasn't really felt in a while. I'd like to think that Mad Max Fury Road holds the crown and kind of like cut off the king's head. It is challenging anybody to come up there and grab it. So when you see movies like Mission Impossible Fallout and the John Wick series come to answer that call, I love that there's this kind of challenge system, this friendly competition where people are constantly trying to one-up each other on what they can do with an action movie. And John Wick is a serious contender for that. The sound design is frankly Oscar-worthy. I can't imagine how much fun it must have been to be a Foley artist and craft all these specific sounds. I mean, by the end, you will know the difference between a neck, an arm, a skull, and a leg cracking in half. Go see this with the biggest and best speakers available. There is a moment when John Wick grabbed the shotgun, and every blast visibly shook my chair. And it just engrossed me further into the movie. It was the coolest thing. So I know you're looking at the score and you're like, B-. Where's the minus coming from? Unfortunately, it's the dialogue. And I don't understand why, from a series that gives such good visual images to tell the story, that the movie feels the need to insert so many scenes of exposition and really unnecessary dialogue where the images that they're pairing them with would do such a better job at telling the story. I also found that John Wick, at the most part, is a static character. The whole franchise is built around how everybody reacts to John Wick, and I thought the kind of mini arc they gave him throughout the movie wasn't sufficiently fleshed out to kind of move him from that static character to a dynamic character. The most you need to know about John Wick comes from the first 15 minutes of the first movie. Like I said, everything else is kind of the tsunami that ripples from John's initial earthquake. So when you're trying to have John go through all these vision quests and figure out who he is, it all feels artificial and it feels wrong. And I don't think the movie's playing up that it feels wrong. I think the movie is trying to sink into it as realistic characterization. And for me, that just didn't work out. I do love the cast, though. I think the supporting cast is playing up some of this cartoonish bit. So you've got somebody like Lawrence Fishburne, who is all teeth and all laughs. And you've got Winston, played by Ian McShane, who's just does not care. He's got such this cool demeanor. I love Lance Reddick's badassery. I love this new character, the Adjudicator, played by Asia Kate Dillon. And they are just deliciously icy. That kind of villain you just love to hate. Very Blade Runner. And I love the way they came across screen, where without saying much, you know they're looking at you, and you don't matter. I'm in control, and I'm actually having fun with the fact that you think you're gonna beat me in this battle. It's really neat stuff, and I just love that performance. I know some people might find it boring, but just look at their face when they're talking to somebody like Ian McShane, and just do not care what they have to say in the slightest. I think it's hilarious. I also think that John Wick really works when it's dealing with sort of absurdist humor. There's a great shot of Times Square where you see this big old billboard of Buster Keaton playing, and there is an element of this slapstick humor. Like, how many times can John Wick get smacked into a glass door or a glass window repeatedly without just fainting from exhaustion and blood loss? I found it hilarious. Also playing with the comedy is the villain, Mark Dacascos. And I love that without, taking over the story, they give him this solid characterization. There are people in this universe that are going after John Wick not for the money, but just to say, I killed the boogeyman. John Wick is legendary. You know that from the first movie. And to see everybody respect him, but also want to one-up him. Again, it's that competition that I'm talking about. And maybe there's some meta subtext there. I think I'm really inspired by the ideas of John Wick. I like this notion that because of John Wick's actions, the authority of the High Table is being tested. So I like seeing how other characters are interacting to that news and reacting and building the stakes and the scope. I'm not going to say that Fury Road should watch out just yet, but I think all the pieces are in place for John Wick Chapter 4 to take this thing to a completely different level. I think that if they play their cards right and they kind of lean on what the strengths of the John Wick series are, which are the simple stakes, the emotion, the kind of like primal emotion, the action, the motion, the elegance of the cinematography and production design, if they lean on that and really give us just a smorgasbord of chaos, I could see the Boogeyman holding the crown. So that's my time. Let me know what you thought of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum in the comments below. If you have your own review, please link that video too, so we can kind of share in the view boosting. If you like my video, go ahead and like it. Share the video if you want. Subscribe and click that notification bell, because I don't have as rigid a schedule as other YouTubers. Therefore, you're really going to want to know when I put out a new video. But until that next video comes out, thank you very much for taking this time out of your day to watch me, and take care.